might be the next Les Stroud or Bear Grylls or Ray Mears, or people might be reading about you as Mors Korschansky. You know, what's really funny about him is I did a deep dive into the cowboy coffee scene, and so I watched his video on that, and you know, he had his way, there's no doubt about it, and everybody talks about how wonderful it is. I've tried it, you know, it wasn't that much better for me, but it did work. You know, I loved it when, you know, you pour the coffee from way up here, and it has to be cold, and it has to hit, and it has to bounce the grounds around, and they all sink to the bottom. Well, you know, if you're breaking surface tension, you know, that's what that's all about. So, you know, even Mors Korschansky said you can just beat on the pot if you want to, but he really liked the idea of just pouring water from way up high. It was kind of like a Japanese tea service or something. He really liked that, and it did work out well. I got some of the best coffee I've ever had when I was on a trip to Honduras to shoot a documentary down that way, and the pastor in that group that we were helping, it was a medical mission group, offered us some coffee, and I said, well, yeah, that'd be really nice. He said, well, it won't take long, you know, so we'll hang out a little bit. Well, it did take long. It took about an hour, and some children came running up the hill carrying a pot or a carafe or something that they used, and they poured me a fresh cup of coffee. And what I didn't know, of course, you want to know if it was sugar, and I said, no, don't worry about it, I'll just drink it black, don't worry about that. But what he told me later, when I eventually told him, I said, this is the best cup of coffee I've ever drank. It was really good. He said, well, they grow their own beans here, and they had to go roast them, grind them, and then cook that for you. And they were out of sugar, so they went up to the little store and bought some sugar so you would have it, just in case you wanted it. You know, I felt really bad about all the work they put into that cup of coffee, just for me to enjoy that moment, but it was probably the best cup of coffee I've ever had in my life, and it did have that chocolate look and taste to it that Mors Korschansky talks about in making the cowboy coffee. Really a great cup of coffee. Now, I've tried to duplicate that myself by roasting my own beans and stuff, and some level of success, but not so much. But here in a minute, when we get down to it, when I get some water actually warm enough over here, we're going to get into a new kind of coffee. It's an instant coffee, and I like it because you can do that while you're camping, and it has a French name to it, and we're going to get into that and see how that goes.